Today I'll be reacting to 5 habits I've picked up living in America. Okay, this will be interesting, my friends, but before I go into that, let me ask you for one thing. If you can leave a like, thank you so much, is the best way to show support. If you can subscribe, well, in that case, forget about it, you make my day. Have that in consideration now. Link for the original video in my description, and let's play it.
Tomatoes.
What?
Tomatoes.
Tomatoes?
Tomatoes.
Yeah. No, I got it.
Tomatoes.
Tomatoes.
Yep.
Wait, how do you say it actually? Tomatoes or tomatoes? No, tomatoes, actually tomatoes. Yeah, tomatoes is more American, I feel like.
Hello, I'm Lawrence and I'm on a quest to uncover all of the memos that Britain and America lost in the pond.
I know.
And one of those memos pertains to habits.
Okay.
Specifically, habits that I've picked up since moving to America. And just to clear up any confusion, this is not a video about how I ran away to a convent and became a nun. That's a separate video. No, this is a video about little things that I do habitually every day that I didn't do when I lived in Britain.
I'm curious.
Because a long-standing habit of Uncle Toby is to hammer away on his keyboard right after my videos, I want to preempt him by insisting that this video does not include habits like leaving socks around the house, because quite frankly, I've done that my entire life. Plus, that's universal, and I know that because men do it throughout the entire universe.
Actually, my wife complains about that.
The entries in this video were heavily inspired by American culture. And so with that in mind, here are 5 unshakable habits I picked up after moving to America.
Okay, let's see it. Morning coffee.
I'm gonna let you...
Oh, this one, if I go to America one day, my friends, I don't have to pick up this one. Why? I already do it. But Brits, they prefer tea, right? So...
you in on a little secret. When I lived in Britain, I never once drunk a cup of coffee, except for when I was 1.5 years old, and that was bad for everybody, especially my parents. Now, I don't want to get carried away and suggest that we don't have coffee in Britain. We do. It's just that when I lived there were 2 factors at play. Number 1, tea was more popular, and number 2, per capita, Americans drink way more coffee than the British. It should be...
See, this is, I think, my country relates more with America. We like coffee much more than we like tea. At least that's my perspective or perception.
Noted, of course, that the United States is by no means top of worldwide coffee consumption. After all, people in Nordic countries drink 3 times as much, which frankly is absurd. Nonetheless, even though coffee consumption has actually increased in Britain since I left, presumably because people need it as a coping mechanism, coffee is still more prevalent in the United States.
Oh, for
and I really
sure.
started drinking coffee because all of my work colleagues were doing it, and I didn't want to feel left out before I knew it.
I mean, my friends, but am I crazy, or a cup of coffee in the morning is the best thing? Sometimes I don't even eat anything. I just take a cup of coffee and that's it for the morning. You know, I enjoy it so much. Specific when I have some time before go to work and I have I enjoy that moment. I wonder if someone relates with that actually, because I also know Americans like to drive and drink coffee, right? Because you guys have drive-thrus that get you coffee, which is kind of crazy, by the way. But for sure, a lot of people also drink it at the home.
I couldn't stop. And that might sound to you like an addiction as opposed to a habit, but here's where the habitual nature of coffee drinking comes in. I've made it a habit to drink coffee as soon as I wake up. And I need that just
exactly what I do, by the way,
to compete with my cat, because when I wake up at 5 a.m, usually in zombie-like fashion, I'm always struck by how he's up and about like it's nothing. Here I...
Wait. Lawrence wakes up at 5 a.m.
Like fashion. I'm always struck by how he's up and about like it's nothing. Here I am accidentally pouring coffee into my cereal, and he's already had breakfast, cleaned himself 3 times, and fought off an imaginary mouse. But coffee isn't the only thing I picked up in the workplace.
Corporate jargon. So expressions, right? This is interesting.
Like any other country in the world, America has languages within languages, and one of those languages is corporate speak.
Okay.
And arguably, no country on earth is more fluent in this language than the United States itself. Oh, sorry about that. Looks like I accidentally muted myself. What I was saying is, can you hear me? What I was saying is, I got another email today from Martin saying we need to touch base about those SOWs.
What?
And I still don't know what an SOW is. To me, an SOW is a female pig. And as somebody who worked in American office environments for the better part of 7 years, I've picked up this lingo through osmosis. So you'll hear these phrases that you'll never hear outside of the office environment, such as, can we circle back? Let's touch base. Can we get our ducks in a row?
What? I'm not sure if I understand. What means let's touch base?
You know, unless you
Let's touch base is complete a goal or something?
work for a veterinary service or the parks department, you're not going to be doing anything with ducks, much less getting them in a row. I know this is just an idiom, but at the end of the day, ducks are just going to do their own thing, so it's better for your productivity if you leave them alone. Same goes for CBT, because I know now that it stands for computer-based training, but previously it meant cognitive behavioral therapy.
Okay.
So we just need to spell things out.
Keeping my cat inside. Oh, and this, you know, so sad story. I had a cat at one point that I let go to, you know, to the street, and the cat ended up dying. And after that, me and my wife, cats, they stay inside. So because other cats that are not vaccinated and stuff like that, they can, you know, they have a lot of problems, and your cat, even if you treat that cat well, going in contact with the others can be very problematic.
Those of you who've
But to be honest, I feel like cats are a bit more happy when they are outside. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe that's just dogs, but we keep cats inside.
never lived with a cat, I feel both deeply sorry and envious. But if that is you, there's probably one thing you don't know about indoor cats. They're constantly trying to escape.
Yeah, this pisses me off also, but it's true.
Why do you always do this when I have to go down and get the mail? What, you do? Get off my hand. He's trying to turn my hand so that the hand turns the doorknob. He's so smart. In America, they're much less likely to be successful because, on the whole, Americans prefer to keep their cats indoors. In Britain, sometimes it feels like there are more cats on the street than dog feces. All that to say, when I moved to the United States, I thought nothing of letting the cat out of the flap. But then I saw something weird. I watched as a cat got run over by a truck, and it just happened that behind that truck was a police officer, and he stopped his car, got out of it, saw me and my wife frozen in horror like this, and he just picked the cat up by the tail and dumped it by the side of the road. And in that moment...
Gangster. Sorry, that was fun.
I had an epiphany. If one of my cats got flattened by a truck, I wouldn't want them to have such a demeaning burial. Or to be flattened by a truck. Yeah. I mean, let's be clear. And so now, every time I leave the house, I have to make sure the cats aren't following me. They're indoor cats. They're not going anywhere. They're staying put. There's actually just the one cat these days. The other one died of kidney failure.
Actually, the cat that I let to go to the street died of that. The kidney stopped working. But they thought was something that he actually got on the street.
Not a Prius. You'll be kidnapped by cyclists. Do you want that? Oh, he's got out. He got out. I didn't mean for that. Come back in.
Direct communication.
When I lived in Britain, I had a habit of forming communication with other people in a way that didn't put them out. So I'd go out of my way to say things in a manner that couldn't be perceived as confrontational, tagging statements with questions like, would you mind if I, or would it be possible to? And after years of living in America, I've learned to get straight to the point, my videos notwithstanding. Hello, yes, I'd like to order a delivery, please. I'd like a 6-inch on Italian bread teriyaki chicken with American cheese toasted.
Okay.
Well, my wife gave me the number. Is it? Right. Okay. Well, I'll let her know. Thank you. Sorry about that. Yep. Bye. Yep. That was the Chicago Public Library. And it doesn't mean I've become rude or anything like that, because the Americans that I speak to in this manner speak to me in the same manner. And also, being direct doesn't mean you shouldn't use phrases like please or thank you or bless your little cotton socks. It just means getting straight to the point. No, that's fine. And then could I just add green peppers, onions, and tomatoes, and that's it? Tomatoes. Tomatoes.
Tomatoes.
Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Tomatoes.
There we go. Okay, fine.
Yep. And while we're on the subject of placing orders, that brings us on directly to our final entry.
What? Tipping.
To America.
I mean, everyone talks about this when they talk about culture shocks and things that they have to learn in America, right? 20%, 10 to 20%, I'm already aware, don't have to worry about when I go to America.
Americans, tipping might
Actually, I need to have that money, but apart from that, I'm fine.
seem like an odd entry to have on a list of habits. But for me, it had to become a habit because growing up in Britain, you're not expected to tip the bar staff or the waiter. In America, because those workers rely on those tips for income, it is inconceivably rude not to tip. And how do I know that? Because I accidentally did that once. I was on a business trip in Westminster, Colorado, and I decided to stay up late one night and just have a couple of drinks at the bar. I struck up a conversation with the barman who had an interest in British
Oh, that's even worse. If the guy talked with you for so long, deserves a tip.
culture, perhaps owing to the fact that Westminster, Colorado shares its name with Westminster, London, but that's not important right now.
Yeah, no.
What's important is we stayed up for about 2 hours talking until I was the last customer in the bar. He went into the back to do whatever bar staff do in the back, and I took that as my cue to leave. And as I was on the flight back to Indianapolis the next day, it hit me. I never tipped him, and I still feel really bad about that. So if you're watching
He needs to come back.
Barman from the Doubletree in Westminster, Colorado, this video is dedicated to you. No, you've been great. So one last thing, when I put a tip on the receipt, does that go to the delivery person or does that go to you? Goes to the delivery person. So if
Okay, actually, I always wondered that. That's a great question, by the way.
could I send you a check? You personally for say
Because can you imagine tipping and the big company or even the boss gets the money? That would be very unfair, right? And the people would not even like to tip. People want to help that person in specific.
20% of this because, well, people think that I'm some sort of YouTube sensation, right? Not my words. And I don't want to be seen to lack generosity. Yeah, I mean, you've got to put back a little bit, you know, and I just feel it's the least I could do because you've been excellent. One habit that I'm really proud of is being thankful to my patrons who make these videos possible. If you would like to become a patron of Lost in the Pond and support the work that I do, you can do so at patreon.com/lostinthepond. Until the next time we touch base, goodbye. Right.
Thank you, Lawrence.
What's your address? I mean, I suppose it's public knowledge. If this went to you, would it be received in the form of a gift and therefore a complicated matter with your manager? You are the manager. That's perfect.
Okay. Lawrence is always great, my friends. Thank you so much for watching. Really means a lot that you guys end up spending this time with me. If you can leave a like, that would make my day, as you guys know. See you guys in the next one. Bye.